I nearly lost a testicle while my girlfriend ignored my calls for help. Instead of responding, she laughed at my pain and blocked me so she could continue clubbing. Now she's begging for another chance. I, 22M, and my girlfriend, 22F, have been together for 5 years. We've been a couple since high school, and until recently, I always saw her as my future wife. I even bought a ring and plan to propose in the next few months. Last weekend, my girlfriend went to her best friend's birthday celebration. They had booked a private lounge at a club. I didn't go because, first, I wasn't invited, and second, I dislike clubbing and everything associated with it. I was actually looking forward to a quiet evening alone, binging Netflix or something. My girlfriend left around 9:00 p.m., and I settled on the couch to watch some YouTube. Around 11:00 p.m., I started feeling a distinct stomach pain, similar to the sensation when someone hits you in the nuts. At first, it wasn't too bad, and I thought my body was just playing tricks on me. But within about 5 minutes, the pain intensified until I was curled up in the fetal position on the couch. Initially, I hoped the pain would pass, but then I noticed my right testicle starting to swell. The moment I tried to get up to grab my phone and figure out what was happening, I collapsed to the floor. The pain was unbearable, like being hit in the nuts repeatedly. Somehow, I managed to crawl to the table next to the couch and get my phone. I immediately tried calling my girlfriend, but she declined my call. I texted her, saying something was wrong, and she needed to come home immediately. The club she went to is only a 5-minute walk from our apartment. I put the phone down and started throwing up from the pain. After about a minute of this, the pain seemed to ease slightly. I grabbed my phone again and saw her response. "What is it?" I tried calling her again, but she declined once more. I texted her, saying I needed to go to the hospital now. She asked, "For what?" And I replied, "My balls hurt." Then, aita emergency services. The emergency responder asked if there was someone who could drive me to the hospital. I foolishly said yes, thinking my girlfriend would be home soon and could take me. I felt too embarrassed to call an ambulance just because my balls hurt. After I explained my situation to the emergency responder, she told me she would call me back in 10 minutes to ensure I was being driven to the hospital. I set the phone down and returned to vomiting on the carpet. When the pain subsided slightly, I checked my phone again and saw that my girlfriend had responded with laughing emojis. I tried calling her again, but as expected, she declined. She texted back, saying this wasn't the time for games, and warned that if I texted or called her again, she would block my number. I tried calling her once more, only to realize she had actually blocked me. I curled up on the floor, shivering, and at that point, I didn't care about the embarrassment. I called emergency services again, this time demanding an ambulance. It felt like an eternity, but eventually the ambulance arrived and rushed me to the hospital. I don't remember much of the surgery because I was sedated, but I woke up to find my right testicle being stitched together. The doctor explained that I had a testicular torsion and that I was extremely lucky to have reached the hospital in time. Otherwise, I might have lost my testicle. I checked my phone and saw the missed calls and messages from my girlfriend. She had come home from clubbing and noticed the vomit in our apartment. When she saw the mess on the carpet, she got angry and began searching the place for me. It was only when she realized I wasn't there that it dawned on her I was serious. I texted her the hospital's name and my room number, then went to sleep. The next morning, I woke up to find my girlfriend sleeping on the couch beside my bed. When she woke up, she bombarded me with apologies, explaining that she thought I was joking and trying to ruin their night. I didn't have the energy to argue. I just stayed quiet. I was deeply hurt by her actions and wanted to break up with her right then and there. How could she ignore my desperate messages asking for help? She stayed at the club until 3:00 a.m. without even considering coming home to check on me. She stayed with me in the hospital for the next 2 days and took good care of me, but my anger didn't subside. Since coming home yesterday, I've been grappling with the urge to break up with her, but I also feel she might have genuinely thought I was joking and made a grave mistake. I'm conflicted and don't know how to move forward. What if I end things? Am I overreacting? How would you handle this situation? Edit. To clarify, I've never had an issue with her going out, nor have I ever played pranks to get her to come home. Thank you all so much for the support. I'm truly amazed by the comments. Poncho 25,004. This is a tough one. If someone texted me saying they needed to go to the hospital because their balls hurt, I'd probably think they were joking. But if they said they were in severe pain, vomiting, and feeling like their balls were being ripped apart, I'd be there in minutes. Local record 777. NTA. Not walking a short distance to check on your partner after those texts is absolutely crazy. Unless you've had a pattern of exaggerating. Edit. I'm not suggesting this was a common occurrence. I don't support drunk driving, but walking to check on you seemed like the reasonable thing to do. Satterwind 8580. Even if she thought you were joking, you deserved a phone call. Your partner should prioritize your well-being over their night out. Has this happened before? She could have called to verify if you were serious about the hospital. I'd really think about whether you want to continue this relationship. She chose partying over checking on you, then blocked you and was ready to yell about the vomiting. Wishing you a speedy recovery. Low beams, former paramedic here. When you're in that much pain, don't hesitate to call emergency services, not your girlfriend. There's no need to feel embarrassed. And by the way, MTA, your girlfriend definitely is. User. It sounds like they have a major disconnect in how they communicate. If they get married without resolving this, they'll end up blaming each other. What was her communication style in this situation? We don't have enough info about how they usually interact. My wife might laugh if I said my balls hurt, but she would drop everything if I seemed serious. If OP hasn't had any emergencies in their relationship, it's not unreasonable to think his girlfriend might have thought he was joking. This could be a good moment for a serious discussion. OP, she stayed with you and clearly regrets her initial reaction. You don't need a reason to end a relationship, but if you want to stay, use this as an opportunity to establish clearer communication. Jokes are fine, but blocking is too extreme. Going forward, ensure you both understand what's too far so blocking won't be necessary. NTA, sorry you had to deal with testicular torsion. Update. Firstly, I want to thank everyone for the incredible support. It's been overwhelming. I had a lot of unread messages, so please bear with me. I promise I'll get back to everyone. I want to address some misconceptions from the comments on my last post. No, I have never played any malicious pranks on my girlfriend to get her to come home early from a night out. I don't have an issue with her going out as long as she doesn't come home at, say, 6 o'clock a.m. And no, I've never bombarded her phone like that while she was out with friends. We usually go out together since we share the same friend groups. To clarify, here are the messages from WhatsApp, in order, as some people thought I just texted her out of the blue saying my balls hurt or something. Translated. Me. I called her twice, but she declined. Girlfriend's name. Please come home. Something is wrong. Her. Can't talk right now. What's going on? Me. Tried calling her again. I need to go to the hospital. Her. What? Me. Called her twice more. My balls hurt. Please come now. Something is wrong. Her. No response. Me. Called her twice more after contacting emergency services. Her. I swear, don't bother me again or I'm blocking you. Let me expletive enjoy my night out. Me. Called her twice more and got blocked. The pain was too severe to try anything further, so I called an ambulance. Her. Unblocked me at 2 a.m. with a message. My name. Why is there vomit in the living room? Where are you? Why is the front door unlocked if you left somewhere? She then had full mental breakdown as she realized I was serious, sending over 70 messages. Yes, it was foolish of me to expect her to drive me to the hospital, especially since she had been drinking. In that kind of pain, though you don't think clearly, I think I just needed her for moral support and acted on instinct. Not calling an ambulance right away was also a mistake. I was in intense pain but stupidly thought it would eventually subside, and that driving to the hospital would be better than calling for an ambulance. Also, looking back, feeling embarrassed about calling an ambulance for my balls was really dumb. The way some of you twisted my situation in the comments to paint me as a dweeb or overly needy was truly shocking. I promise you, if the roles were reversed and my girlfriend ignored me in that condition, none of you would be defending her. Now for the update. Thank you to everyone who wished me a speedy recovery. I'm feeling much better. Not being able to work for the next 3 weeks is definitely a setback. I work for my dad's construction company, and my job involves lifting heavy weights. I'm also not allowed to have sex for the next 2 to 3 weeks. I might have developed some trauma from the pain as I occasionally get the same sensation again, and it's driving me nuts. See what I did there? As for my girlfriend and me, it's complicated. As many of you and my mom suggested, 5 years is a long time to just throw away without having a proper conversation. So I did just that. I told her how hurt I was by everything. I brought up the following points. Her ignoring my messages and declining my calls. Yes, clubs are loud, but where I'm from, there are smoking areas where you can have a conversation on the phone. Her blocking me after I tried calling her. Her not checking on me once, even though the club she went to is only a 5-minute walk from our apartment. Her being more angry about the vomit than concerned about me. After I explained all this, she became defensive. She said I could have conveyed my situation better and that she genuinely thought I was joking. She was drunk and wasn't thinking clearly. She also claimed that it couldn't have been that painful and that I was over-exaggerating. I told her, yes, I could have phrased my messages better, and I apologize for that. But I then described the pain I was in and explained that I barely had the strength to text her, let alone provide a detailed description of what was happening. I really couldn't think straight through it all. After hearing this, she started crying and apologized for her actions. She said that if she had known how serious it was, we wouldn't be having this conversation. She also apologized for being angry about the vomit. According to her, she was drunk and tired and was just expressing her frustration. I then asked her why she thought I was joking and if there was any chance she was cheating on me, as this behavior was so out of character for her. I immediately trusted her with this, which is why I asked. She started crying even harder, looking as if I had slapped her in the face. She told me she thought I was just being insecure about her being at the club with a bunch of guys and assured me that she wasn't cheating and would never do something like that. We then hugged for a solid 10 minutes. After that, the next part was really hard for me, but I told her I needed some space to gather my thoughts and that she should stay with her parents for the time being. She immediately had a mental breakdown and asked if I was breaking up with her. I told her I wasn't sure and needed time to see if I could still trust her after what happened. What she did was beyond disrespectful. How could I trust someone with my life after this? I also mentioned that we're young, and this mess was largely due to our immaturity. This situation was an important life lesson for both of us, regardless of whether we stayed together. After begging a bit more, she put her head down and started packing a few essentials before leaving. She told me she would do anything to make up for this and that I could take as much time as I needed. She then gave me a big kiss and left. That was 2 days ago, and this is where we currently stand. I still update her on my healing, but we haven't been in much contact besides that. I'm really torn right now. I still don't trust her fully, but her acknowledgement of her mistake shows that she knows she messed up and is remorseful. This behavior is definitely out of the ordinary for her, but major boundaries and new rules will need to be established. Here are some ideas I'm considering. If she blocks me again for any reason, it means she's blocking herself from ever seeing me again. Ignoring my messages will no longer be tolerated. If she goes out alone, she has to pick up if I call, regardless of the situation. As many of you suggested, having an emergency code like hospital would be a good idea. I don't plan to abuse these boundaries. I just want peace of mind knowing my partner has my best interests at heart, even when she's not physically with me. Again, I want to thank everyone for your support. This whole experience has been an eye-opener for me. Should I get back together with her? If yes, are my demands reasonable, and is there anything else I should consider? What if I decide to end things over this whole saga? Comments. Jilonh. Timing doesn't mean you have to stay with someone. It just delays the inevitable. If you think you can't rebuild trust, it's not wrong to end it. And it's not wrong to try and work through it either. You need to go with your gut. Personally, I would find it hard to move past someone blocking me in a relationship. That level of pettiness is too much for me. To me, it doesn't reflect a partnership. I need that with my significant other. This October will be my 30th anniversary of being married. If my husband blocked me or didn't pick up after multiple calls, that would be a serious breach of trust, and I'm not sure I could get past that. Bankrow. When I woke my partner up in the middle of the night in so much pain that all I could manage was something is wrong, he dropped everything to help me. He drove me to the hospital, called my parents, explained everything to the doctors, advocated for pain meds, and stayed with me the entire time. That's what a caring partner should do. If a partner can't help, okay, maybe they can't, but if my partner even called me twice in a row, I'd drop everything to answer or call back. If for some reason I couldn't, I'd text them. Your partner is a million red flags disguised as a human. Whitecore, comment 381. I don't think I could ever recover from this if it happened to me. You were having a medical emergency and she's still trying to blame you for not communicating clearly. Now, on to the next story. Story 2. I discovered that my long-distance girlfriend of a year was married the whole time, so I confronted her husband, exposed the affair, and got my revenge. About a year ago, I, 29, male, met a woman, 31, female, at a conference in Baltimore. I was there for work and didn't expect our night together to lead to anything more. But we hit it off, and after hooking up, we exchanged numbers and kept in touch. We lived about an hour apart, so it wasn't far enough to completely rule out a long-distance relationship. Though we didn't see each other often, we texted and chatted when we could. She would visit me in the city once or twice a month, and we had a wonderful time together. I loved seeing her, we had a great connection, and I really felt our relationship could go somewhere. In hindsight, I realized I was investing more into the relationship than she was. I didn't think much of it until I was talking to a friend about us. I explained how she would visit me, but I almost never went to see her. Just to clarify, I had been vocal about wanting to travel to her apartment and meet her friends. My friend found it odd that she didn't want me to visit her. She's into true crime and watches a lot of TV, so we laughed it off, thinking she was just being paranoid. But our conversation made me think. I knew my girlfriend from our conversations, but it was all surface level. I knew her favorite TV shows and books, but I didn't know anything about her family. The next time I talked to her on the phone, I asked her more about herself. I wasn't trying to accuse her of anything. I genuinely wanted to learn more because I saw a future with her. She told me there wasn't much to talk about and gave me a brief story about being an only child and her parents having passed away. It made sense that she might not bring up family if she didn't have any around, so I moved on. Months went by and she still didn't want me to visit her. It was tough for me because I really wanted to meet her friends. By then, she had met a few of mine, and they really liked her. I wanted to see the city she lived in because I was considering suggesting we move in together. No matter how many times I asked, she always shut down the idea of me visiting. At the time, I didn't think much of it, but our conversations were mostly sexual. When we spent time together, we'd go to dinner or a bar and then head straight back to my apartment to sleep together. I figured it was because we were apart for so long, but after a while, the lack of depth in our conversations started to bother me. I was venting some frustrations about her to another friend, and he suggested that I might be a side piece. I was shocked and hurt by the idea. At the time, I felt like I had something special with her, and the thought that it might have been less than I thought was devastating. He pointed out how secretive she was about her life, suggesting there might be something she didn't want me to know, possibly that she had a partner or family. I was furious at the suggestion and dismissed it outright. But as I calmed down, I began to see some truth in his point. I started researching stories about people unknowingly being involved with someone who was already committed, and a lot of the scenarios matched mine. Early in our relationship, I had asked for her social media so we could connect, but she said she didn't have any and made a big deal about how much she despised social media. I believed her, but curiosity got the better of me. I found her profiles online, and when I clicked on her Facebook link, I realized I was blocked. She was definitely hiding something. I created a fake account to see her profile from a different perspective. Through her public profile, I discovered she was married and appeared happy, with photos that included a young child. I wasn't sure if the child was hers or not. I found her husband's name on her profile and started researching his. From what I could gather, they had been together since high school. I had my suspicions, and once I dug into it, I finally had my answer. I regretted looking into it because, before that, I had a good relationship that I felt no guilt about. But after discovering the truth, I felt like a terrible person. I knew I didn't know much about her family, but I was still involved with her. I was determined to end things with her, but I also felt the need to confront her husband and make her face the consequences of her actions. I found out through his social media that he was a realtor. I reached out to him, pretending to be interested in buying a house, and arranged a meeting. I made sure it was during a time when my girlfriend wouldn't be home, so she wouldn't find out about it. When we met, we exchanged pleasantries as I wrestled with the decision to tell him everything. I wasn't sure if it would end their marriage, but I hoped it would, considering how she had betrayed him. After a few minutes of small talk, I decided to come clean. I told him how I met his wife and detailed the affair we had, making sure he knew I had no knowledge of his family's situation. His reaction was just as shocked as mine had been. He revealed something that stunned me even more. She had been working weekends, claiming it was temporary while she was onboarding and training new managers at work. After I shared our relationship details, he suggested she might have been visiting me every weekend, which wasn't true. I began to wonder if there was someone else she was involved with, as I only saw her once or twice a month. I sent him screenshots and videos of our chats, and it was heartbreaking to watch him go through them. He said he needed time to figure out what to do with this information and thanked me for being honest. I spent the rest of the day feeling nauseous. After our conversation, I was convinced she was seeing another person. 2 days after our meeting, she called me, furious. She accused me of overstepping by digging into her life when she had made it clear she didn't want me to. She blamed me for ruining her marriage and declared that I was the worst thing that ever happened to her. I was stunned by her accusation. It was her choice to lie to her husband and cheat. If I had known she was married, I would have never gotten involved with her. The fact that she wasn't even wearing her ring at the conference should have been a red flag enough. After our call, I haven't heard from her again. Her husband, however, divorced her, and he informed me that she was staying with her mom until she found a new place. I couldn't help but chuckle when I heard that, especially since she had claimed her parents were deceased. I'm just relieved to be past this chapter of my life and hopeful that I can find someone who is truly single and make a genuine connection.